give you a look at a couple of the front pages here of the British papers and one of the French for you, very much reflecting the way that this inauguration went down around the world. Let the making of America begin today, says the front page of the Guardian. Front page of The Sun, one of the tabloids here in the UK. You're the daddy picture, which I'm sure is being beamed around the world. Isn't that sweet?
That is adorable.
Barack and his little one. And the front page of Le Figaro today, the rebirth of America, Barack Obama. They're 10-page specials all over the world. We're seeing souvenir copies of newspapers as we very much mark the day, the 20th of January 2009, when the first black American was inaugurated and took the oath to become the President of the United States of America. Some interesting reaction around the world. We saw particularly in Kenya, where Obama's father is from. Let's see if we can show you some pictures of what was going on there. We are so proud of Barack. He is our son. I'm tingling like I'm in a sauna, said a 26-year-old bank worker as he watched Barack Obama's speech with thousands of other Kenyans last night. This gives me strength. We've waited so long. God is good. God is good. God is good, said another slum dweller, I'm afraid, and that is effectively where Obama is from. His family certainly from an area of Kenya which is steeped in poverty, but they're very, very happy about what has happened. Two places around the world, I think it's fair to say, President Bush is still lauded to a certain extent, and perhaps Barack Obama some intrepidation about his inauguration. Saudi Arabia and Iraq, those are the two places out of a myriad of other countries around the world where people have been polled, but 80% of people around the world, in the latest poll I saw yesterday, saying effectively they're looking forward to the change in power in the United States. Good riddance to old rubbish is what I heard one commentator suggest about the Bush era. People, it's fair to say, I think, around the world waiting to see now what happens next. We're over this sort of interim period to a certain extent. People want the world economy to get going. They want foreign affairs sorted out. They want the perception of America to change. And that, I think, it's fair to say, is what people are now waiting for. Naru?
Right, and Becky, there's been a lot of discussion about America really being a leader in the Western world in inaugurating its first African-American president, and questions about whether that could or might happen in the future in Europe.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say, particularly in places like Germany, where you've got 3 million people of Turkish origin, for example, and I think something like only one Turkish immigrant actually represented, or as a representative in the government there. Some 15% of people living in areas of France aren't necessarily native to France and are of colour. Very little representation in the French Parliament. A lot of talk on this side of the pond about, certainly in the UK, whether there is a chance that we could get our first black Prime Minister anytime soon. There is a lot of representation, perhaps more so here than in other places in Europe, but still no real representation at sort of cabinet level here, at senior policy making level. So yes, I think that's a good argument. That's a good discussion that's being had, and I certainly think this is going to do nobody any harm going forward.
Yeah, certainly from a diversity standpoint, we've seen Britain, for example, with a female leader, and Germany. So there's been some moves in that direction.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think Angela Merkel, nobody particularly talking about the fact that she is a female there. She's just a Chancellor of the Exchequer who's doing an extremely good job as far as many people are concerned. Margaret Thatcher, of course, you're alluding to here, the Prime Minister here in the late 70s, early 80s, and all the way through, in fact, until 1990. Yes, a lot of people didn't distinguish her necessarily as a female with a lot of female traits, as it were, but she was certainly a very powerful woman in her day during the Ronnie Reagan administration in the US, of course, and she had a very good relationship with him. So yes, I mean, again, it's very difficult to say. Not necessarily a big topic of discussion, as I say, here in the UK, because I think people tend to feel that we've been better represented, as it were, as women, and certainly there is more representation on the minority front here in the UK, but elsewhere, still